winds are done.
It's even more risky to get in your car and just plow on through like those folks were doing. It's not recommended. I know it's frustrating to wait, but it could be even more frustrating to have to call somebody, like some folks have had to do today, to get rescued in your car from the floodwaters and then to pay the repair bill when water gets into that vehicle. It's just bad news all around. We've got this block of flash flood warnings still affecting millions of folks, and we still got the flash flood warning for New York City until 8:45 local time. The heaviest rain has moved on, but it's still raining, and the water, as Mark alluded to, does not drain from those low-lying spots immediately. Suffolk County out in central Long Island, islip, your flash flood warning goes till 10:15. New Haven and Hamden in Connecticut, it's still vicious lightning, heavy rain, flash flood warning till 9 local time. And in Providence, Rhode Island, down to Newport, you've got a flood warning in effect till 11 local time. And then on the back end of all of this, you still got in Parsippany and Rockaway, New Jersey, a warning till 9:30 local time. Give you some examples of actual impacts from these heavy rainfall. Howard Beach, east of New York City, 95th Street closed between 159th and 160th Avenue due to flooding. So these are closed roads. Don't drive around a barricade. Don't drive around a law enforcement officer that's trying to keep you out of floodwaters. In Fresh Meadows, Route 495 closed both directions due to flooding, water level within a few inches of the top of the median. So that's at a minimum going to slow you down. Plan another route, allow for extra time, and again, don't drive into the floodwaters. Route 27 in Colonia flooded. This is out near Edison. And then here, the water rescue at Edison train station. So some of those vehicles you saw in that video a short time ago, they got through, but not everybody did, okay? So some folks had to get rescued in that area. And out in near Allentown, reports of flooding on I-78 within the last hour and a half or so. Now, this isn't the only part of the country we're having problems. We had some very serious flash flooding there in northern West Virginia. Floodwaters getting into many homes. A lot of training thunderstorms going on in Tennessee as well. Now watch what happens in the future radar. We could get another round of heavy rainfall tomorrow morning in the New York City area that could really hinder your morning commute. Set that alarm a little bit earlier for tomorrow morning and then check before you head out what the best way to get to work is, because there could be some hindrances to your commute. And then by tomorrow afternoon, Mark, looks like the Hampton Roads area could really light up for tomorrow evening's commute.
Yeah, and they've got some precursor rains coming in overnight. So if the grounds are already saturated and that is a flood-prone area, that is a bad setup there for sure. Dr. Knabb, you know, so many in the New York area were actually looking forward to these thunderstorms, as damaging as they were for some of the cars, because they needed relief from the heat because of the lack of power. There was a power outage as the heat wave swept across the tri-state area. This is the third day for some of you without power. In New York City, tens of thousands were without power yesterday because of those scattered outages, and hundreds of outdoor events were canceled across the country, including the New York City Triathlon. Cities were offering free admission to municipal pools for those that were dealing with the sweltering temperatures. Now, the vast majority of the outages took place in the boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens, where the heat index was still well over 100 degrees this weekend. And New York's governor called in 200 troopers, 100 generators, and 50 light towers to assist with the power outages in Brooklyn. Meanwhile, residents tried anything and everything to get relief from the sizzling summer temperatures.
We've been sitting outside. A lot of the neighbors going back and forth. People have been sitting in their cars, just trying to deal with the heat.
Mayor Bill de Blasio is now questioning whether New York City's energy company can handle the vast load.
And this was obviously a predictable situation and therefore preventable. What we're getting continually is no clarity, no answers, no real timelines from Con Ed. So at this point, you know, I said earlier in the week that I was having trouble trusting them. I can't trust them at this point because I'm not getting any real answers, and they have let New Yorkers down once again.
Consolidated Edison, known as Con Ed there, issued the statement in response to the outage. We are completely focused on getting customers back in service, and we regret the distress they are under. The actions we took were necessary to prevent longer outages to the impacted customers that would have occurred as a result of additional equipment damage. So it's been tough for people without power as it has been so hot across the Northeast. The storms in the front brought some relief, but now the power companies have this to contend with. The storms brought down even more lines. A lot of you without power this evening.
What's the secret to natural bliss? We choose perfect, simple ingredients. Farm fresh milk and cream, pure cane sugar, and Madagascar vanilla. That's one tasty secret. 100% natural bliss, 100% of the time.
You try hard. You eat right, mostly. You make time when you can. But sometimes life gets in the way, and that stubborn fat just won't go away. Cool Sculpting takes you further. A non-surgical treatment that targets, freezes, and eliminates treated fat cells. For good. Discuss Cool Sculpting with your doctor. Some common side effects include temporary numbness, discomfort, and swelling. Don't imagine results. See them. Cool Sculpting. Take yourself further.
Behr presents Tough as Walls.
That's some great paint.
That's some great paint.
That's some great paint.
Behr, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with interior paints. Paint, prime, protect, all in one. Now that's some great paint. Find it exclusively at the Home Depot.
And Doug.
What do all these people have in common, Limu? Exactly. Nothing. They're completely different people. That's why they need customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual. They'll only pay for what they need. Yes, and they could save a ton. You've done it again, Limu. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Think all premium fuels are the same? New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. That helps keep your engine running like new. So maybe it's time to unthink what you think about premium fuel. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. It's fuel for thought.
12 grams of protein equals good vibes rising. Kashi Go. Do more of what you love.
So Kim, you going for a big Drive Safe and Save discount?
Yep, using the app. I've been quite vigilant.
Sharon says step on it, the meeting started.
Okay, write her back. Dear Sharon, don't mess with my discount.
Faster, Mommy, I gotta go to the bathroom.
I do too, honey, but we're gonna hold it for Mommy's discount.
Easy, easy.
But you're in labor.
Don't mess with my discount!
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
If you've had it with this changes everything. Introducing the DR Pulse, the world.
You know, one of the most difficult decisions that I ever had to make when I was a forecaster at the Hurricane Center, and the folks there today had to face it this afternoon, when is enough to call it a tropical depression? When is there enough thunderstorm activity? When is there enough of a well-defined circulation? And those are difficult, subjective calls to make, and this afternoon they decided there was enough, but as soon as they pushed the button on that advisory, the system decided to say, you know what? I'm not going to look like enough in a few hours. If they hadn't turned the crank on advisories at 5 p.m. today, I don't think they'd start them now. And it has really been a flash in the pan, so to speak, over the Bahamas today. But I think they'll continue advisories at 11 p.m. tonight because it can easily make a comeback overnight. This depression is centered just off the southeast coast of Florida. Most of the weather earlier over the Bahamas was over quickly. So if it does make a comeback, it's going to drop rains somewhere else. It's not going to hang around and move slowly like Barry did and like other systems so often have. And as it makes this relatively quick turn to the north and northeast ahead of our approaching front, it'll have a short life no matter what. Maybe even shorter than what's indicated here by this very stubby kind of cone that ends late tomorrow night, early Wednesday morning, because even at the 5 p.m. advisory, Hurricane Center was anticipating short-lived. Impacts are going to be very limited, but look at what it looked like during the day today. Can't fault the Hurricane Center for writing advisories on that when it was getting that well-defined low-level circulation on the satellite. Thunderstorms really blowing up over the Bahamas, but again, since then, it has really waned. The greens here indicate the moisture of the cold cloud tops, the thunderstorms over Florida, but those have been the sea breeze moving inland from the east coast of Florida toward the west coast, enhanced by the easterly flow on the north side of that depression. Some thunderstorms lingering, getting close to the Tampa Bay area, but those are on the decline as the heating of the day has gone away. And the future radar based on the HRRR model shows that being the case, as is almost always the case over the Florida Peninsula late at night. But then it does show some redevelopment of the thunderstorm activity during the day tomorrow over the warm waters of the Gulf Stream directly associated with the depression. But that will not be as long-lived as this front has been. Here comes the front tomorrow night and ushering our depression off to the northeast. Here it is on the model depiction showing where the low-level spin is going to be. Here's the front going through the mid-Atlantic and northeast. This is this time tomorrow. So what's left of our tropical depression, if it's still depression at all, gets close to the North Carolina coast. And then you can see by late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, into middle part of the week, it gets absorbed by the front and maybe becomes part of a new non-tropical low developing along that front. And then I got to watch this front as it lingers over into the Gulf of Mexico and off the southeast coast. Mark, could we have another short-lived depression come out of this mess? It's at least possible. But tonight, in the next couple of days, the main story is going to be the front.
Yeah, absolutely. That front really caused some problems already today, Dr. Nab. It's going to protect us from that tropical depression, but it is also going to, it also brought a lot of power problems across the Northeast. So let's go into the story there. 340,000 customers or so in New Jersey that don't have power, and First Energy is working to restore nearly 250,000 of them. Cliff Cole from JCP&L joins us on the phone. Cliff, thanks so much for joining us on what is undoubtedly a very busy evening for you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
So we've got some storms that came through, very gusty winds. There's even some new development back towards eastern Pennsylvania. Are your crews able to get out there and start doing the repairs already?
Yeah, actually, the crews have been dispatched out in the assessment repair phase right now. So they have been able to get out there and continue to go out and respond to the areas where we know have been impacted.
Any particular area that's worse than any of the others right now?
Yeah, that's too soon to say, only because they've been out there so busily trying to assess the damage. So we don't have an answer to that right now. But again, our overarching message for our customers again is that one, just to be safe and not to go near any wires, and be careful when you go into an area where you see some wires. Always assume that they're energized. So we just want to make sure everybody stays safe while our crews go out there and safely make the repairs they have to do. And right now, if they do have an outage, we have been dealing with some intermittent problems with our website due to a lot of folks trying to call in the outages. So if somebody has an outage that they want to report for the time being, they can call 888-544-4877.
All right.
So again, we'll keep people posted as we go through the night.
Absolutely. A busy night, and I'm sure those repairs are going to go as fast as possible. Cliff Cole there, spokesperson. And again, look at the power outage tracker here. About 360,000 customers across Jersey without power right now, so it's going to take a bit to get everyone back online.
Keeping the night interesting is all about setting the right tone. Lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Corona Premier.
COPD makes it hard to breathe. So to breathe better, I started with Anoro.
COPD tries to say go this way. I say I'll go my own way with Anoro.
Once Daily Anoro contains 2 medicines called bronchodilators that work together to significantly improve lung function all day and all night. Anoro is not for asthma. It contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. The risk is unknown in COPD. Anoro won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, glaucoma, prostate, bladder, or urinary problems. These may worsen with Anoro. Call your doctor if you have worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain while taking Anoro.
Ask your doctor about Once Daily Anoro to start treating your COPD.
Save at Anoro.com.
Don't miss your golden opportunity to experience the luxury you desire on a full line of utility vehicles at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event.
Lease the 2019 RX 350 for $389 a month for 36 months and we'll make your first month's payment.
Experience amazing.
Get what you love for less at Olive Garden. Early dinner duos for $8.99. Choose from over 50 delicious combinations. And all the salad and breadsticks you want from 3 to 5 Monday through Thursday. Hurry in. It's early dinner duos. Only at Olive Garden.
You might take something for your heart, your joints, or your digestion. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you, your brain? With an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish, Prevagen has been shown in clinical trials to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
I want it.
I can't believe it.
That car brought his karaoke machine.
Nothing but a heartache.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Tell me why I never you'd say.
Go, Kevin. Go, Kevin! No.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to Weather Underground, everyone. We're still tracking dangerous storms and lingering flooding across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. But if you're just tuning in, we also want to tell you about a new tropical depression that we have. Tropical depression number 3 continues to move through the Bahamas towards the Florida coast, moving towards the northwest at about 13 miles per hour. The winds have been at about 30. And those continue to hold steady. Forecast for this doesn't call for much strengthening, but it's a small storm system over the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, and we've certainly seen them spin up fast before. So that is something that we need to continue to monitor just in case. We'll have a full tropical update coming up with Dr. Nab at 50 past the hour. That was almost instant, right?
Aiden! Hurry up, come here, quick!
Calling people over. Wow, all right? The lightning striking that tree in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Sound was wild there. Sound was just incredible. Wanted the sun to come over, it sounded like, and check out what happened. It almost looked like some stuff was blown off the tree, as often happens because that lightning strike is so hot that it heats up all the water inside the tree to the boiling point, turns it to steam, and can blow the bark right off a tree. Now, we've been following storms across this area, came through New York City and Long Island already, but notice you're still under a severe thunderstorm watch until Monday at 10, and that's because the cold front is still back here. So even though we had all of this action come through, there's now some redevelopment back in eastern Pennsylvania and new severe thunderstorm warnings that have fired up there, as well as out ahead of the front near D.C. So we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that's over the D.C. area. The storm does not look all that impressive. on our radar, and yet it has a history of wind damage, including lots of trees down. And so you look at the history here, you can see why they're warning on it. As close as, say, Manassas, there was trees down blocking roads at Dale Boulevard. And so wind reports close to 50 miles per hour. They're warning people that are still out and about in the National Mall and around the district that there could be some big storms coming. Here's a storm in eastern Pennsylvania heading right towards Reading. This area already had big storms already today. Okay, and so the grounds are saturated. There are flash flood warnings that are up. This is insult on top of injury type storms for Berks County with severe storm until 9 o'clock. And then we can follow that. Spring right about now, Reading by about 8:40, Lower Macungie by about 9:12, and Allentown by 9:20 or so. And then will that get into New Jersey, where we have had our hands full already this afternoon? And look at the delays that have been piling up in and around the New York City airports. Now the Boston area starting to fill in with delays also. So very difficult setup here across the Northeast. And no matter how you're traveling, we've had some problems. As is often the case when the rain comes down too fast above, it goes below. And I guess this is how they just wash all the subway cars in New York now, right? Because, man, that is less than ideal. You come out of the subway and the doors open up and it is just pouring on you. So you are soaked there inside the subway. The flood warnings continuing for a bit. I want to bring in Dr. Knabb, talk more about the flood threat. As is often the case, the flood warnings will extend long past the time the storms are done.
Yeah, and unfortunately, tomorrow morning's commute in New York City could be hindered by another round of heavy rain, and a lot of roads got a lot of problems tonight in some big cities. You've got to turn around, don't drown. When we get to dark, I mean, it's getting to be sunset in some places, and it's much harder to see how much water is covering the road when you can't see down the road very far in the dark. Got this block of flash flood warnings. I'll show you some of the newer ones. New Haven and Hamden, Connecticut. Your warning goes till 9 local time. It is still coming down heavily, and there's some vicious lightning out there as well. A newer warning in New London County until 11:15 local time. You're getting that nasty batch, and the worst is yet to come. That's coming out of the New Haven area. And we've also got a flood warning in Providence and Newport, Rhode Island until 11 p.m. local time. Heavy rain and terrible lightning coming down right now. Now, we've got less rain in New York City right now, but the impacts have already occurred. Oakland Gardens, Clearview Expressway closed northbound at Northern Boulevard due to flooding. And then in Fresh Meadows, Route 495 is closed in both directions at 188th Street due to flooding. And then down near the JFK Airport at Howard Beach, 95th Street closed between 159th and 160th due to flooding. So we're not just talking about the flash flooding market. It really is hindering travel on those roads.
Yeah, the flooding's one thing, but we know these storms come with something else, and that is lightning. That can be very dangerous. These storms produce a lot of it. So when thunder roars, you know to go indoors. But what happens when lightning strikes your house? It happens more often than you think. So let's see if you can pass this summer quiz.
If your home takes a direct lightning hit, your immediate concern is the potential for fire. The intensity of lightning can ignite a structure, sending it up in flames. So we asked, what percentage of residential fires are started by lightning? Is it A, 10%, B, 19%, C, 25%, or D, 40%?
D, 40%.
B, 19%.
A, 10%.
D, 40%.
So what do you think? The answer is coming up.
Have you smelled this litter?
No.
Nobody has. It's unscented.
Tidy Cats Free and Clean Unscented. Powerful odor control with activated charcoal. Free of dyes, free of fragrances. Unscented odor control like that? Try Tidy Cats Free and Clean.
This is Mia. This is Mia's pulse. With pressure rising and racing. This is also Mia's pulse that her doctor keeps in check, so she can find balance. This is Mia's pulse, and now it's more stable than ever. This is what Medicare from Blue Cross Blue Shield does for Mia. And with over 80 years of healthcare expertise, imagine what we can do for you. This is the benefit of Blue.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish, tuned in to you. Yes, I'm doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber. Month after month, and I still have belly pain and recurring constipation. So I asked my doctor what else I could do. And I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess is not a laxative. It works differently. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
I'm still doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber, and I said yes to Linzess for help with belly pain and recurring constipation. Ask your doctor.
There are 3 words that mean everything when you live with migraine. I am here. Aim to say that more with Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults that reduces the number of monthly migraine days. For some, that number can be cut in half or more. Don't take Aimovig if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or swelling can happen hours to days after use. Common side effects include injection site reactions and constipation. Aim to be there more. Talk to your doctor about Aimovig.
At Domino's, we're more than just pizza for $5.99. We're $5.99 bread twists, $5.99 sandwiches, $5.99 pastas, $5.99 chicken, and yes, $5.99 pizza too. We didn't stop at pizza, and you don't have to either.
It's a homeowner's worst nightmare, watching everything they've worked hard for go up in flames. Lightning sparking a fire inside your house, with flames quickly spreading. Before the break, we asked, what percentage of residential fires are started by lightning? A, 10%, B, 19%, C, 25%, or D, 40%? So here's the answer. B, 19%. If your home takes a direct hit, you should immediately call your local fire department. The most common place for lightning-caused fires in a home is in the attic, but they can start anywhere that lightning has traveled. To reduce fire and injury hazards, experts recommend a well-grounded lightning protection system.
Lightning also proved to be deadly over the weekend. In Indiana, a 65-year-old man was struck and killed as he and a friend rushed to shore in their boat. In Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, lightning hurt a boy between the ages of 5 and 6 this weekend, and in Florida, 8 people were injured, one of them critically, when lightning struck in Clearwater Beach yesterday afternoon. So really dangerous. I mean, obviously, lightning, every lightning strike is potentially a deadly one. How do you avoid getting struck by lightning while you're at the beach? Where do you seek cover, especially when you're out there and you don't really know where the best cover is? And how do lifeguards get people to safety? All of these questions going to be answered, right? Wyatt Warren is with the American Lifeguard Association joining us again. Wyatt, thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about your instructions to the other lifeguards when thunderstorms are approaching. Do you try to clear out a beach, or is that on each individual family's decision?
No, absolutely. Again, swim near a lifeguard because we are trained to detect the current situation and what might be dangerous. Yes, when we do get what we consider a particular counting system, we alarm all the other lifeguard stations that we're going red flag, and we clear the beach.
Now, are there systems nationwide, or has it been discussed, to maybe sound a particular kind of siren like you would at ball fields around the country?
You know, every city, county, state kind of has something a little bit different, but here in Florida, it's kind of common that we use the flag system. We use a system for counting that goes back ages, and if we see the lightning, we start counting. And we count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Every 5 seconds means that lightning is a mile from us when we hear the thunder. And then when we get to about 15 seconds, that's 3 miles too close, and we close the beach and clear everyone off.
And Wyatt, now that we've got some of that active weather potentially headed directly towards you, we have our new tropical depression just off the coast, a combination of extra lightning strikes with some thunderstorms and enhanced rip currents. What's the messaging like around you tonight?
Well, we have some onshore winds. It could potentially make some rip currents, as you know, which we have some long lateral currents right now, which push people out of the rip currents, thank goodness. But we do have some thunder clouds in the area, and we just keep alert. We also have another thing I should have mentioned earlier is we have a lightning detector. We have those at all the stations. They measure the electromagnesium, EMP, whatever, and that is a measure that comes through a device and lets us know that the lightning could be danger close.
And Wyatt, in your experience, how fast can the conditions leading to rip currents change? Like, for example, what if this depression were to spin up quickly, a small tropical storm right offshore, and your onshore flow in a short amount of time starts to get stronger than you might have thought?
That's a good point. It changes hourly or daily, and specifically in between the tides. When the tide's outgoing and we have an onshore wind like we have right now, that's the most critical time. And we keep our eye on that. When we get to the beach in the morning, we check the waters. And like you said, it does change all the time. That's why it's critical to swim in front of a lifeguard and watch your weather channel.
And we've been watching some just amazing video of lightning striking either on the beach or just off the coast in the water. We've seen it time and time again where people are just kind of out on the beach looking at the storms. Is there any sort of advice other than just be near a lifeguard that you want to tell people about what to do when these thunderstorms are seemingly very far away, but maybe closer than people think they are?
Well, again, use our system. Like I said, it's proven itself. If you see a lightning strike, start counting. If you can count to 15 seconds, you need to get off the beach. You need to go to your vehicle. Do not go under a pavilion because they're just as dangerous. And don't even worry about your belongings. Get off as soon as possible. Another thing that we detect is if you start feeling the ground, your hair kind of stands up and gets static electricity, like messing with a balloon or something, that's danger close. You get off the beach, get in your vehicle, and get away from it. That's the best advice that we can have for you, is try to learn to observe your environment and watch what other people are doing. If you come to a beach and you see some local people and they know this area, if they're leaving the beach, it's best advised that you leave the beach with them.
Absolutely. Great advice there. That is Wyatt Werneth with the American Lifeguard Association. Thanks so much for joining us. And we go way inland now, all the way to Colorado, where some storms across the Front Range have been stealing some of the headlines thus far this evening, as we've had some big hailers, a couple of tornado reports across this area as well. And this one was pea-sized hail, but there were reports of larger hail than that across the neighborhoods there in eastern Colorado, kind of along I-25. You can hear it pinging there off the deck and off the patio furniture. Luckily, it looks small enough not to do too much damage. Now here's another example of that hail coming down, and you just listen to it, right? Much louder than your normal rain as that hail is bouncing off of everything. Again, pea-sized hail can be pretty prolific. You can see pretty large numbers of that hail as opposed to what is often the case with larger hailstones. They're more limited in their quantity, but they do more damage because they're bigger. So this is the line of storms that we were watching. This one came through Denver with some big-time winds. Let's start there, as these storms are kind of falling apart, but you can see that bowing shape to them. As it came over the airport, there were some significant wind reports out of these, including the international airport, close to 80 miles per hour with the winds. Right? That's a significant wind. And hail, as the storm came through, Aurora had 1-inch hail, where you start to get to severe limits there once you get towards 1 inch in diameter. And now the storms are a little bit further south from there as well. We're not forgetting about those of you around the nation's capital. D.C. right now has storms coming through. It is going to be a slow go. This is the DCA airport, of course, and because of those storms firing up basically right over the district, we're going to start adding to the delays. This is the current radar picture. Here's the district, and here's a thunderstorm that's right over D.C. And so District of Columbia included, Alexandria, Falls Church included in that as well. Biggest threat here will be some gusty winds. Can't rule out some small hail. This is going up 95, going southwest to northeast here. We'll continue to monitor that as well as the rest of the storms in the northeast when we return.
And And the record for longest lasting AA battery goes to Energizer Ultimate Lithium, Guinness World Records title holder for longest lasting AA battery.
Shaving has been difficult for me. I have very sensitive skin. I get ingrown hairs. Just stopping that irritation, that burn that I get, I wouldn't use anything else.
And no one has ever seen or heard them, but I know they're out there.
What was that? I heard it too.
With our laser-measured floor liners, cargo liners, the cup phone to secure your phone, side window deflectors, bump step, and no-drill mud flaps, WeatherTech's got you covered this summer. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com, the ultimate protection for your vehicle.
Hello?
What's going on? It's a 3 p.m. slump. Should add a P3. Oh, yeah.
Need energy? Get P3 with a mix of meat, cheese, and nuts.
Exactly. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Nice. But, what's up with your partner?
Not again. Mimo, that's your reflection. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Attention cancer victims who use the weed killer Roundup. A federal jury unanimously found that Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. Don't wait. There may be time deadlines to file a claim.
Call 800-838-1016. That's 800-838-1016.
Thank you so much.
New purple, eh, Deb?
He's always wanted to try one.
Well, they have a 100-night trial, so...
Everyone wants to sleep better and can. Purple makes it easy with free shipping and our 100-night trial. For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
Within our worst natural disasters are unseen stories of survival. New episodes of Defying Death, Heroes and Survivors, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
You are a mere 10 minutes away from world's wildest weather. Severe weather striking during the Christmas season 2015. The battle to fight monstrous fires that engulfed Kansas, and a storm chaser saving lives during one of the most intense tropical storms on record. It's all coming up tonight at 9 Eastern, right after Weather Underground. We have some new video to show you tonight in Rahway, New Jersey, where the streets, man, you hate to see someone like this. Look at the water's up to the wheel wells at a minimum, and in some lower spots along the way, down the road here, it looks even a little bit higher than that. Hopefully we don't have any cars that are totaled here and don't have any people that are stuck and need rescue. But what a mess. The sanitation work. Oh, look at this. This is in Brooklyn. Water is up to the doors here. My goodness, too much water. Yet another just travesty of a flash flood event. You can't even see the water there. Sorry, you can't even see the wheels there. The water was so high. And then the water is rushing down the steps there. It almost makes you want to take out the water skis and go down the staircase, right? Waterfall right there. Difficult to even walk on the sidewalk when you get that much water rushing down. That's moving at a pretty good clip, and you can understand why the streets filled up so fast when you have that much additional water flowing into the low areas of Brooklyn. Let's talk about what's still left across the Northeast right now. We know that the travel delays are going to be left for a while, anywhere from 2 to 3 hour delays or so. At times it was almost 4 to 5 hour delays, so slow improvements here now that the worst of the rain has moved on. But the front is still back here, back in eastern Pennsylvania, and there's actually some refiring of thunderstorms in that area, and so that's going to be an added threat as we go through the rest of the afternoon and really the rest of the evening and overnight at this point. Check out the Reading area. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning over Berks County. This area had storms go through this afternoon, and now you're getting another round. And so there's already flash flood warnings that are up through much of this area. If this storm comes up towards Allentown, where there were reports of flooding earlier, that would only compound the problem because that water is not all the way receded yet, and then we'll add more to the mix. One of the latest flash flood warnings is over Suffolk County. That one goes until 10:15 because of that complex of storms that raced on by. So it's no longer raining here, but there could be some more rain coming in, and we'll talk about that coming up. Then you go over Long Island Sound into Connecticut from New Haven through Middlesex, through New London. So there is still some steady rains here. Even a little bit of that bookend vortice right in here on that north edge. There was some rotation in that. Hopefully we didn't spin up any tornadoes. The heavier rain continues to move on through. And where we're still seeing that push of rain into Bristol, into Newport, getting into Massachusetts here, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. This includes Dartmouth, Fall River, and New Bedford. And so that's leaving Rhode Island and into Massachusetts. You can certainly tell where the storms went today, right? Look at just the covering of storm reports that came in today with regards to wind damage, flooding, needed flood rescues. You get the idea. It was a busy afternoon here. And it wasn't the only story we're following. We're also following what was going on across the Bahamas today. Now nighttime in the Bahamas with some clouds off in the distance. I guess loosely tied to what is Tropical Depression number 3. That's right. If you weren't paying attention today, we have a new tropical depression. Dr. Nab, this same front that's coming through the Northeast is going to help to sweep Tropical Depression 3 out to sea eventually.
Yeah, one of the pieces of good news having to do with this front, I mean, it's causing a lot of impacts. I'm still jaw-dropped over the flooding in Brooklyn. My goodness. I know. So the water has really been the big story with tropical moisture, but our tropical depression is lacking tropical moisture, it seems. Ever since they issued the advisory at 5 p.m., the thunderstorms have decreased. But in any case, it was never expected to be a long-lived system. The forecast at 5 p.m. showed that by early Wednesday, that would be its last gasp as a tropical depression as it gets absorbed by that front. But it may not even last that long. Now, it has been a long-lived weather system. It was a tropical wave that left the west coast of Africa more than a week and a half ago. It's only when it got over the warm waters of the Bahamas and the Gulf Stream that it perked up. We've seen this kind of thing before. This same week in 2005, a tropical wave left the west coast of Africa on July the 10th, and then over the next week or so, it traversed the Atlantic without development. And then, when it got over Hispaniola, it started to perk up and got to the Bahamas, and it formed the tropical depression that became Tropical Storm Franklin in much the same spot that our depression formed today. It was longer lived and stronger, though, than we think this one's going to be. And then the southern end of that wave formed short-lived Tropical Storm Gert. So these systems can form 2 depressions or storms from one tropical wave. But right now, it's really struggling. But we will be back to update you on all of the severe weather and the flooding in the Northeast. Stay with us.
To look at me now, you don't see psoriasis. You see clear skin.
Cosentix can help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms if your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
How sexy are these elbows?
Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
This is the story of John Smith. Not this John Smith, or this John Smith, or any of the other hundreds of John Smiths that are Humana Medicare Advantage members. No, it's this John Smith, who met with Humana to create a personalized care plan. At Humana, we have more ways to care for your health, and we find one that works just for you, no matter what your name is.
Don't miss your golden opportunity to experience thrilling performance. Now at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event.
Get 0.9% APR for 60 months on all 2019 models.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
12 grams of protein equals good vibes rising. Kashi, go. Do more of what you love.
Parents have a way of imagining the worst, especially when your easily distracted teenager has the car. At Subaru, we're taking on distracted driving with sensors that alert you when your eyes are off the road. The all-new Subaru Forester. The safest Forester ever.
Bear presents Tough as Walls.
That's some great paint.
That's some great paint.
Bear, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with interior paints. Find it exclusively at the Home Depot.
New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline has 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. And that helps keep your engine running like new. It's fuel for thought.
This is no ordinary sub shop. This is Firehouse Subs,
Welcome to Firehouse.
where you can escape the ordinary with the new Jamaican Jerk Turkey Sub. Freshly sliced smoked turkey breast, craveably sweet mustard sauce, and a hint of Caribbean seasoning. Just $5.55 for a medium. Order one today, because a portion of every purchase at Firehouse Subs helps provide life-saving equipment for first responders. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives.
Welcome back to Weather Underground as we're following some insane video from Brooklyn where the water was really piling up. We talk about the low-lying areas in the paved-over megalopolis of New York, and that was an underpass where the water was just really high and vans were plowing through. Then we have this video to show you. Look how high up that water is. I think it's a Prius there, right on the side, and then there's an SUV here. You can't even see the wheel wells. It's almost up to the hood, so hopefully that water stays out of the engine, or we're gonna have some totaled cars here in Brooklyn. That is just a devastating sight here when we had so much rain so quickly. The storm system just could not handle it, and when the camera kind of moves over at a couple of times, you actually see that there's flashing lights off in the distance. So that road is closed down, but hey, if you were just parked there, didn't think you were in any trouble because your car was parked, and then this is what you come back to later on in the day, thanks to the flooding rains that came through. Let's take a look at where the water is right now and where it is going over the next couple of hours, potentially through the overnight. We have a flash flood watch that continues from the New York area and just north of there all the way back down to the spine of the Appalachian into central portions of Tennessee. So far-reaching flood potential as we go through the rest of the night. We still have some big storms associated with the complex that came through Jersey, now moving through Long Island and into Rhode Island and Massachusetts. In its wake, we have flash flooding and new storm development behind that. So we got a severe thunderstorm warning just outside of Reading, headed towards Allentown. Remember, Allentown had flooding earlier today because of the storms. Now there's more storms developing in that same area. We go north of New York City, north of Long Island into Connecticut, where there's flash flooding in New Haven, in southern and coastal portions of Connecticut. And we can continue to move east from there, where there is flash flooding and also very gusty winds here. 195 coming out of Rhode Island into Massachusetts, Bristol, and Newport on either side of the border there. Severe thunderstorm warning for you for gusty winds. So this is that same complex of storms that we've been following, and it continues to move east. So that complex moves on for the next couple of hours, but there's some redevelopment suggested by the modeling into areas that have too much water on the roads and flash flood warnings that continue, and maybe even again tomorrow, suggesting maybe the Tidewater, maybe the eastern shore of Maryland could have some big-time storms. If there are any more damaging conditions, we'll break in locally for you. Otherwise, it's world's wildest weather right now.
A super typhoon hits the Philippines, causing colossal flooding and unthinkable damage.
Oh my God, I'm gonna see people just die right in front of me.
A massive wildfire rages in Kansas.
It was almost like the devil, well, I missed some over here, so I'm gonna turn around and go back and burn that up.
Lock it up and get in!
And one of the worst tornadoes on record tears through Joplin, Missouri.
This thing is getting bigger and bigger. This thing is getting large.
World's wildest weather. Catastrophic events caught on camera by those who were in the middle of them. Our expert meteorologists explain the science behind this extreme weather and show us why it's so dangerous. We know them as hurricanes, but in the western North Pacific, they're known as typhoons, and they're among the most powerful storms on Earth.
A typhoon is another type of tropical cyclone. It's named a typhoon for the basin, the ocean part that it occurs in the western Pacific. Typhoons can get so big and so destructive because they have a tremendous amount of open Pacific water to work with. It's very warm. They don't have a whole lot of wind shear, disruptive winds to take away from that circulation really getting going. And then it's able to build up enough forward momentum so it can just plow on through, feeding off of the warm oceans the entire way, and then carrying with it a surge of water to whatever landmass it impacts.
On November 7th, 2013, one of the strongest typhoons on record is about to hit the Philippine Islands in Southeast Asia. Typhoon Haiyan.
The night before Super Typhoon Haiyan made landfall was one of the most terrifying nights of my life.
Typhoon Haiyan increases to a massive super typhoon, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane, reaching sustained wind speeds over 160 miles per hour.
The scariest moment of Typhoon Haiyan was looking at people trapped in the water and thinking they're gonna die in front of my eyes.
Any more in there, Josh?
Once the storm surge started rolling through Tacloban, we knew that potentially thousands of people were dying around us.
The area sits along the typhoon belt and is regularly battered by an onslaught of tropical storms.
It was clear when we saw the satellite images coming in the night before the storm hit that we were dealing with a potentially record-breaking super typhoon.
Typhoon Haiyan is on a collision course with the coastal city of Tacloban.
So we knew all along that storm surge was going to be a huge threat, given that most of the city lies on this small peninsula surrounded by the ocean. But when it actually hit, you know, it was hard to envisage what was going to happen and how it was going to go down. And it still took us by surprise.
It had plenty of time to get going and organized and to become just a massive, huge wingspan typhoon. It wasn't just the fact that it was bringing with it some of the worst wind speeds that a typhoon can carry, but it was also bringing with it a wall of water that moved inland. In some cases, it was measured 17 feet or taller. That's bigger than a two-story home in some cases.
The night before Haiyan hit Tacloban, the city was eerily calm.
I remember walking around the city and people were just kind of hanging out, playing pool, drinking beer. People clearly did not understand what was coming.
The weather bureaus were throwing out wind speeds which we'd never seen warned before. That was quite terrifying to know that we were committed, we were there, and there was no escape.
These types of systems, whether you want to call them typhoons or hurricanes, are formed by sort of a nice balance between the heat transfer from the ocean and an atmosphere around it that allows it to extract that fuel, so to speak, and grow. And Haiyan was one of those examples where it attained very high intensity, basically maximized the room it was given by the atmosphere and ocean. And one of those rare phenomenon that comes around once a generation, perhaps, and is an example of how wild Mother Nature can really get, because it was really about as intense as it could have gotten.
The Philippines gets these really intense typhoons all the time, and I think the problem there is that they're used to them. They experience them all the time. So when a really, really exceptional one comes, people don't realize that this one's going to be different. I felt that people didn't understand really what was coming, and I was right.
And the people living in the Philippines aren't the only ones in the path of extreme weather. The U.S. experiences some of the most powerful tornadoes in the world. And some are more violent and destructive than others. Like the catastrophic multi-vortex tornado that hit Joplin, Missouri on May 22nd, 2011.
Well, this tornado had winds in excess of 200 miles per hour, and it lasted for an incredible 38 minutes. Forecasters call it a loaded gun. During a tornado season, a typical season in the U.S., you're going to deal with about an average of about 1,000 tornadoes. Of that, about 20 are going to be in excess of EF3. That's a violent tornado, and you only get about maybe one that's going to be EF5. And this path of this thing was a mile wide, but it tracked over 22 miles. And in its wake, just an incredible amount of devastation.
Look at this. One. Another snipe.
A tornado is a violently rotating column of air that connects from a cloud to the ground, and you have to have that connection for it to be called a tornado.
Well, moisture is essential to creating the parent thunderstorms or tornadoes. Without the thunderstorms, you're not going to have the tornado. So the moisture, the high moisture content in the atmosphere, especially at low levels, helps to create instability, buoyancy for air parcels that want to rise from areas near the surface.
So you get this air mass coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, which has is rich with all sorts of moisture. But then you've got an air mass coming in over the Rockies, which is more of a colder, drier air mass. So the two meet up basically right over the heartland, that plain states here for you, that tornado alley. When those two clash, well, you can get conditions that are just ripe enough for tornadoes to spin up.
I don't know if you can tell on this camera, and I don't know if you can hear, but these clouds are rapidly spinning. That right there is a tornado. Holy crap.
Tornadoes are actually quite common in the United States. We have more than any other area in the world. Generally, we get more than 1,000 tornadoes a year.
Hey, it's coming! Oh my God, look at it!
Well, this part of the country, traditionally known as Tornado Alley, includes parts of Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska, the middle part of the country. This part of the U.S. is susceptible to getting these kinds of tornadoes because of the air masses from different places that meet.
But this isn't your average storm. Residents in the town of Joplin, Missouri have no idea that they're about to be hit by one of the worst tornadoes on record.
I have to stop. This thing is getting bigger and bigger. This thing is getting large.
You always want to be able to deliver relief for your patients, get them out of pain fast. It's nice that we have a product out there, Sensodyne Rapid Relief. It creates a barrier. Brushing with it twice a day, it'll give you relief from sensitivity. I can just hand them Sensodyne Rapid Relief and know that they're going to come back happier and more comfortable. If you use it on Monday, by Thursday, you'll be enjoying that chocolate ice cream again. I like the idea that they can start it, and 3 days later, I know that they're going to have the results they were looking for.
Lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived.
Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist-recommended memory support brand. You can find it in the vitamin aisle in stores everywhere. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
And the record for longest lasting AA battery goes to Energizer Ultimate Lithium, Guinness World Records title holder for longest lasting AA battery.
I can't tell you who I am or what I witnessed, but I can tell you Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance so I only pay for what I need. No.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Children are meant to play, ruckus, roar. On Miracle Treat Day, helping kids do these things is what a Blizzard is for. When you buy a Blizzard, your local children's hospital gets $1 or more. We need you this Thursday at DQ.
You can always count on the champagne of beers. For the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. It's always just right. Welcome to the High Life.
Within our worst natural disasters are unseen stories of survival. New episodes of Defying Death, Heroes and Survivors, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel.
May 22nd, 2011. Missouri is no stranger to extreme weather. But today, the town of Joplin is facing a violent tornado.
I have to stop. This thing is getting bigger and bigger. This thing is getting large.
Well, there's another feature that you can look at, and these are known as gravity waves, and this may have been an important factor here when it comes to this Joplin tornado. These gravity waves, they sort of billow out like when you throw rocks into a pool, and you can see them sort of undulating throughout the middle part of the atmosphere, just like in the water. And what that means is you get an increase in the spin with things like tornadoes. So think of the ice skater. We talk about this all the time. These ice skaters spinning around and are elongating their body and then sort of contrasting itself and compacting themselves, and it really spins really fast. And that's what can happen when you get these gravity waves interacting with these thunderstorms.
Straight, go. Let's go back. Actually, go straight.
It's dangerous to be caught in a tornado, period, regardless of how strong or how weak it is. With the big ones, you have to be in a sheltered, secure place. Generally, a well-built structure, concrete's best. Below ground is ideal. It's best to be at the innermost room, lowest level of whatever structure you're in.
Jenna, I can't stress to you enough. Stay in the cellar, all right?
And get away from windows and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That's going to increase your potential of surviving a tornado with minimal damage to yourself.
At 5:17 p.m., the warning sirens start.
Keep my wife safe. She's over there, Lord. Oh, my goodness.
Well, the Joplin tornado was no average tornado. I mean, looking at the destruction in its wake was something that only the very, very strongest tornadoes can produce. Essentially, well-constructed steel frame buildings had a hard time managing the wind. There's just no way around it. I mean, a 200+ mile/hour wind can almost knock anything down in its path, almost. And that's the kind of wind that was associated with some of the, the mesovortices inside the Joplin tornado. There have been other tornadoes as strong, to be sure, but this one left a damaged wake that is certainly uncommon.
Well, 82% of homes in the Joplin area didn't even have basements. So where do you run to? Where do you go when there is a warning for a tornado like that?
It's now 5:35 p.m., and the tornado sweeps into the city.
I just saw a car flying through the air, man. Thought I'd warn you guys if it starts turning this way.
The Joplin tornado was tough because it was warned, but not everyone heard the warnings about 20 minutes in advance. The tornado's track went directly through the heart of the town, hitting key places like the school, the high school, the medical facility, the hospital. They all took direct hits. And this tornado was getting wider and wider, and the winds were also getting stronger, so it ended up producing EF5 damage.
The powerful tornado causes widespread devastation.
There were people who didn't hear the warnings before they came, even though they were issued, and it was growing and intensifying as it was moving into a very densely populated part of town.
Here we are, Joplin, Missouri, after the tornado. We're at the church. It's almost completely destroyed.
Cars were tossed like toys all over the place. They were launched and thrown hundreds of yards and piled up in all kinds of weird shapes. But the hospital building itself, this large building, several multi-story building, was actually moved off its foundation. A well-constructed, obviously, steel frame building. And that takes some kind of wind, and that is not at all common. Most tornadoes are actually pretty weak and could do nothing like this. But sometimes you get tornadoes that perform, Herculean feats of destruction.
Around 7,000 buildings were destroyed, and when we say destroyed, we're talking just decimated. On average, there are about 70 deaths from tornadoes every year in the U.S., but in the case of Joplin, 158 people lost their lives, over 1,000 were injured.
It will take years for the town of Joplin to recover after this level of destruction. In November 2013, residents in the Philippines are bracing for a massive storm that may prove just as destructive. Typhoon Haiyan.
It wasn't until daybreak that we really got a clear inkling that a powerful typhoon was getting close.
So I was watching the satellite images, and I could see the typhoon was getting closer and closer to the city. We were quite close to it, but the weather wasn't that bad. It was just sort of cloudy, rainy. I'm like, where's the typhoon?
The ocean surrounds the city on basically three sides. The city was extremely vulnerable, and especially our hotel, since it was 3 stories high.
I remember just around 7 a.m. wondering, where is this thing? Is it gonna hit? And then all of a sudden, I looked across the city and across the bay, and I could see it coming. It was just like this wall of wind and rain, and it just swept into the city, and then things went nuts.
Josh and James managed to capture the colossal force of Typhoon Haiyan as it strikes the small islands of the Philippines.
In the space of 45 minutes, it went from pretty manageable to hell on earth.
This thing was just like, it was like a bullet.
Target School List Assist, the easiest way to shop your kid's school list in a click. Just enter their school, find their class, and pick up their entire list in store or have it delivered to your door. Target School List Assist for every school list.
All money managers might seem the same, but some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management.
I'm tasting olives, roasted pine nuts, this red pepper.
That's spicy stuff.
Fresh flavor, feel-good food. Sabra hummus.
I just had Sabra hummus and now I feel good.
So Kim, you going for a big Drive Safe and Save discount? Yep, using the app. I've been quite vigilant.
Easy.
But you're in labor.
Don't mess with my discount!
It
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save.
With worsening weather patterns, an aging vulnerable power grid, and the growing risk of cyber terrorism, power outages are a part of life now. That can be stressful because we depend on power more than ever. When the power goes out, we lose everything. We can't even charge our smartphones. Now more than ever, you need a Generac automatic home standby generator. With Generac, power stays on in your house, even if you're not at home. Generac's automatic home standby generators start at just $19.99. Special financing is available with affordable monthly payments. Plus, with the Generac mobile link, you can check on your generator anytime. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment. And if you act right now, you'll receive our 7-year extended limited warranty, a $695 value, absolutely free. Control your power and control your life with a Generac.
A super typhoon is battering the Philippines. The water is rising fast, and residents are largely unprepared for the scope of this massive storm.
The debris was flying into the corridors of the hotel. Windows were blowing out.
When the wind reached its full force, we were in this city, so the wind was just swirling between the buildings and wreckage was just flying all around, slamming into other buildings. It was just totally wild. I never saw anything like it. You could hardly see 20 yards away because of all the flying debris, all the rain, the wind. It was really something. After about a half hour, the wind just started to lessen a little bit, just enough so that you could see the street again. And we noticed the water was just rising. We hadn't even seen it because it was so chaotic with all the wind blowing around. And literally, the ocean was just invading the city. This tremendous storm tide just came up and swept the entire downtown area, and the whole city was underwater. The whole first floor of the hotel, the lobby, the courtyard, everything was underwater, and it was rapidly coming up. And that's when I realized, wow, I can't just stand here and watch. I gotta help. Like, people are gonna die.
People really started freaking out and panicking, especially so when we could hear people smashing windows and screaming from the ground floor hotel rooms, which were essentially underwater and filling up, and people were trapped inside.
It was just a mad rush to get everyone to the second floor. Now, the problem was people in the first floor rooms were trapped. By the time they realized what was happening, because it happened so fast, the water was too high. They couldn't open the doors, and the water was just coming up. They were trapped in their rooms. And I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna see people just die right in front of me.
Out of this dark, flooded corridor on the ground floor came this elderly couple, and the husband was in a wheelchair. He was very frail. So Mark and Josh just immediately pitched in, grabbed him in the wheelchair and hauled him 2 floors up to safety and away from the flooding.
Got up to those rooms, they smashed the windows, and we were just pulling people out of the windows, putting them on mattresses, and then ferrying them over to the main staircase to get them upstairs.
The stairs was slippery and essentially just a waterfall from all the flooding, and the wind was whipping into the hotel and there was debris.
One at a time we did that, and we managed to get everyone up the stairs. Every child, every disabled person, everyone up the stairs.
As I was walking through the storm surge water, I could feel this weird tingling sensation in my legs. My mind was racing to think what it could be, and I could only conclude that it was some sort of electrical current.
Okay, I can feel electricity in the water, guys.
A lot of people get killed during typhoons by electrocution. It's a pretty common way to get hurt, so it really freaked me out quite a lot.
The incredible thing to me about this typhoon's destructive power was how fast it happened. The ocean came up and just swallowed up the city. The whole city went underwater, and then it just seemed to suck back into the bay. And it was only about an hour or an hour and a half that most of that was happening.
Storm surge is that movement where the wind has pushed the water inland, to some cases to great extent. A very large storm with a large wind field and low pressure all sort of combined to make this very powerful inland surge of water from the ocean.
A whole city of 220,000 people went underwater. And that sort of event is going to be a catastrophe, and it was.
The Filipino government declares a state of national emergency. The city has no clean water, Food is scarce, and the roads are impassable, preventing aid from reaching those who need it most.
We stepped outside into the city, and it was like you couldn't recognize a lot of it. Whole city blocks just flattened as if by the nuclear bomb. Dead bodies.
The streets were just buried in debris and tangled power lines, and people were just wandering around in a sense of shock. I walked down to the waterfront. The whole place had just been wiped out. People looking for their loved ones. It was an awful scene.
There was a complete breakdown of societal order. The whole parts of the city were flattened, thousands of dead people, the infrastructure wiped out. This was the real deal in terms of epic catastrophes.
It was clear we needed to leave the city as quickly as possible. The rooftop of our hotel gave us a view of the airport, which was about 2 miles away across the bay, and that was extremely useful because we knew that 24 hours after the storm had hit, the military planes had started landing there, and as luck would have it, we spoke to a senior Air Force officer who explained that the helicopters were coming into town with food, water, and medicines, but running back to the airport essentially empty. And he offered us a lift on one of the helicopters, and it was, an offer we couldn't refuse.
Super Typhoon Haiyan is classified as one of the most powerful storms in any ocean. The death toll is over 6,000. Estimated costs for rebuilding range from $12 to $15 billion.
If the people in the way had understood what was coming and had really comprehended it, and they knew what storm surge meant, they knew that meant the ocean comes up onto the land, all those people wouldn't have died.
It's time for some straight talk. It's true, the big wireless companies have great coverage. Great coverage. That's because of all these cell towers. Glorious, isn't it? But guess what? Straight Talk Wireless runs on the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost. The unlimited plan is just $45 a month, no contract.
Why haven't we switched? You really should. It's a really good deal.
Plus, get a Samsung Galaxy S10e. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
April 18th is National Piñata Day, but you don't need to hit a papier-mâché unicorn to get stuff you want. Just become an AARP member. Get health tips, learn about the latest tech, have nights out at local restaurants, and more. Get your AARP membership today.
I can't believe it. That I won the Best of sweepstakes and I get to be in this Geico commercial?
Let's do the eyebrows first. Just tease it a little. Slather it all over. Go no back.
Well, the squirrels followed me all the way out to California, and there's a very strange badger staring at me.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Uh-huh. Where's the camel?
Mr. Big Shot's got his own trailer.
Roll out, rush in, drop back, defend on. Believe it. Geico could save you 15% or more on your car insurance.
So there's your depression. You just want 5 o'clock to get here because depression is multiple symptoms that can hold you back. Time for a change. And your doctor tells you about Trintellix, a prescription medicine for adults with depression. And there's this overall relief, sweet. And Trintellix had no significant impact on weight in clinical trials.
Tell your doctor right away if you have worsening depression, unusual changes in mood, behavior, or thoughts of suicide. Antidepressants can increase these in children, teens, and young adults. Do not take with MAOIs. Tell your doctor about your medications, including migraine, psychiatric, and depression medications, to avoid a potentially life-threatening condition. Increased risk of bleeding and bruising may occur, especially if taken with NSAID pain relievers, aspirin, or blood thinners. Manic episodes or vision problems may occur in some people, may cause low sodium levels. Common side effects include nausea, constipation, and vomiting.
This, just this.
Ask your doctor about changing to Trintellix.
This summer, book 2 separate qualifying stays at choicehotels.com and earn a $50 gift card. Because when your business is rewarding yourself, our business is you. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Shaving has been difficult for me. I have very sensitive skin. I get ingrown hairs. Just stopping that irritation, that burn that I get, I wouldn't use anything else.
Fill up for the chance to win free fuel for a year.
That's one of thousands of prizes in the Shell Great Gas Giveaway. Fuel Rewards members are automatically entered when they fill up at Shell.
Why are we sneaking into the city when we could be at IHOP eating more crispy chicken?
You chicken at IHOP?
I never saw that coming.
IHOP just snuck into the chicken game. New chicken and pancakes, only $6.99.
I'm Kyle Parker. We are watching a new tropical depression just off the coast of Florida. It is TD3. There's not a lot to it right now. We don't expect that it's going to be very strong in the coming days. Moving to the north, most likely remaining a tropical depression, some enhanced rain potential along the coast with that. And it's been a very stormy night in the northeast. And there is a new tornado warning to tell you about in northern Maryland for Carroll and Frederick counties. This cell now moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. A little bit of circulation now just west of Union Bridge and moving a little to the north of east. So that'll be coming towards Middleburg at about 9:30 about now, and Krause Mill at 9:32. We're going to continue to watch severe weather, and we'll have much more as we go through the night.
It's 2015, and the United Kingdom is being battered by multiple storms. First, Storm Desmond, and then hot on its heels, Storm Eva, causing massive flooding.
You see things like this on television, but you never have any idea that it will affect you. I guess it's just so unlucky that it actually did.
Storm Desmond was supposed to be a once-in-a-decade storm. I mean, I hope I never see that again.
They operate right on the limits of their professional ability to save people's lives.
There had been some smaller floods before, but there was absolutely nothing like what we'd seen.
So any minute now, this is going to go.
Well, there have been two major floods across north and west portions of England during the decade leading up to 2015, namely 2005 and also 2009. But the floods which occurred there in 2015 broke all kinds of rainfall records.
In the autumn of 2015, we saw a period of quite wet weather, so sustained raining that really made the ground quite sodden. So the water table rose.
Storm Desmond breaks the United Kingdom's 24-hour rainfall record with over a foot of rain.
One of the issues there with Desmond as it pushed in was that the rain became sort of aligned with the winds. So there was nothing to really get everything out of the way. It just kept raining and raining and persisting over the same areas over and over and over again. And we were talking about rainfall totals in excess of 15 inches, which as a forecaster, you see that, you're going to be talking flooding. Because of the dips and the valleys of this region, the rain and the water was really concentrated there in the lower levels, falling really rapidly down the hills.
Storm Desmond pummeled the UK on December 5th, 2015, bringing with it extreme rains and winds up to 99 miles per hour.
Storm Desmond has battered Cumbria, bringing with it heavy rain and strong winds. Cumbria police have declared a major incident, and there are still 40 severe flood warnings across the county.
On December 5th, an alert is issued signaling grave danger. The Coast Guard and Alan Howarth's mountain rescue team scrambled to help those trapped by the extensive flooding.
There was a torrent of water just piling down the main street. There was no way you could get into it. It was just so serious.
It's a late Saturday night in December. We've been called up to Cumbria to help with the floods. It's pretty serious flooding. It looks like it's the worst flooding they've had in years from what I'm seeing tonight.
Flood defenses are breached, and huge areas of the town are cut off, leaving people stranded by the rising waters.
I mean, Appleby, the place is completely cut off. We've just been in the river. I've been up to my waist, back up to my chest at some point. The river's completely flooded, the bridge is flooded, the whole town's cut off. So we're just trying to go door to door, make sure that nobody's stuck.
The volunteer mountain rescue staff works all through the night in sewage-infested waters.
We were up till about 5:30 last night. Managed to grab a couple of hours sleep.
Attending a flood isn't really a normal day job for a mountain rescue team. It is quite rare, so maybe we'll get 1 or 2 floods in a short period of time.
Are you all staying?
It's a really strange atmosphere when you go into these floods. I mean, for starters, cars are abandoned. As you go through, it's a really eerie kind of place, because what would normally be really busy is really quiet. Except for people who are stuck in their houses.
Are you all right? Yeah.
Even though the rain has stopped, the water levels keep rising.
First of all, we've got to look at the vulnerable care homes, where we've got hospitals. Those need to be evacuated.
Our street's still completely flooded, so we can't actually get to the house yet.
Cumbria Police are urging people not to return to their flooded homes across the county tonight. They've advised people to self-evacuate.
I think we're going to evacuate the whole street.
River levels are still rising, so when we get down the bottom, it's pretty much over my shoulder height, so I'm floating. I can't actually touch the bottom.
Within the United Kingdom, we've become very good at working cooperatively. Where you've got fast water and you've got vulnerable people in difficult to access areas, sometimes a helicopter is the only real safe means by which you can carry out that recovery.
Across northwest portions of England, over 5,000 homes were flooded. Train tracks, they were blocked, and you even had the army that was called in as bridges were damaged and just no one could get in or out.
Cumbria has suffered extensive damage. Whole communities are left homeless, and the Army is deployed to help with the rescue effort. As if that isn't bad enough, forecasters say there's another storm coming. While the UK is battling rising waters, there's little rain in sight for the state of Kansas during March 2017. Instead, a dangerous drought has set the stage for scorching wildfires.
A wildfire is a fire that starts generally in a natural environment and gets out of control. It could be started by natural causes such as lightning, or a man-made cause, dropping a spark or a cigarette butt, anything that can trigger a fire.
In the 34 years I've been fighting fire, we've never been up against a fire like this one.
You guys stay in your trucks. It's coming. Get ready.
The day that we had the big fire, it was really warm early that morning, like by 8 o'clock.
We were actually working cattle. We had moved all the cattle pretty close to the area where we are right now, and we were processing those cattle, giving them their vaccinations.
We had been getting information on the radio and through the forestry that it was going to be a bad day. We just didn't know where it was going to happen. The wind was pretty strong, and the humidity just kept dropping lower and lower and lower.
Experts believe the fire started in Oklahoma, but when changing winds pick up speed, the fire spreads into Kansas and Texas.
Sometimes the wildfires spread by how they create their own weather around them and their own wind. That is very unpredictable. So it can actually, there can be a sort of a broad breeze over a certain region, but then the fire comes along and changes that up in an unpredictable way, and then sort of allows it to spread in its own created direction. It's hard to know how that's going to happen. You sort of can have the big picture right, but then the fire comes along and messes things up, and it moves, basically takes its own, or has its own mind.
We noticed and smelt the smoke, and with that much wind, you had reason to be concerned, and so I told the crew that I'm going to go check it out.
I was hearing all the commotion over my police radio, and that's when I learned that there were fire had started up by Wilson Lake, and the 60 to 80 mile per hour winds were pushing it very quickly to the south.
Met up with another rancher, and we could see the fire, and we could see where it was. At that time, the wind was out of the south, and with that 60, 70 mile an hour winds, we thought the best thing we could do was stay out of the way.
The closer I got, I could see the smoke, the plumes of smoke. You could see that it was growing and growing, getting bigger and bigger.
So, Kim, you going for a big Drive Safe and Save discount?
Yep, using the app. I've been quite vigilant.
Easy.
But you're in labor.
Don't mess with my discount!
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save.
The proud son of an immigrant father, John Hernandez found his own path through a field of smoke. When wildfires threatened communities, John jumped into danger, fighting through fear and fatigue until the fire was contained. John found his fighting spirit in one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, a job few are willing to do. Since 1925, we've proved that it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters what you're made of. Modelo, brewed for those with a fighting spirit.
COPD makes it hard to breathe. So to breathe better, I started with Onoro.
COPD tries to say, go this way. I say, I'll go my own way with Onoro.
Once Daily Onoro contains 2 medicines called bronchodilators that work together to significantly improve lung function all day and all night. Onoro is not for asthma. It contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. The risk is unknown in COPD. Onoro won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, glaucoma, prostate, bladder, or urinary problems. These may worsen with Onoro. Call your doctor if you have worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain while taking Onoro.
Ask your doctor about Once Daily Onoro to start treating your COPD.
Save at Onoro.com.
Bear presents Tough as Walls.
That's some great paint.
That's some great paint.
Bear, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with interior paints. Find it exclusively at the Home Depot.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat